The following is rated S for spoilers.
I am the light girl.
You're what?
Nightlight.
Oh my god! I had no idea!
You told them already?
I only told Abu. Really?
What are you implying? In classic Khan gossip train, you tell Ummi, she tells Abu, and we over here because he always has his phone on speaker.
Hello and welcome to the Popcorn Hangover. My name is Alex.
My name is Graham.
And today we are talking Miss Marvel, the latest addition to
Disney
all of
Plus
the
content.
MCU things that we're getting this year. Graham, how's it going this week?
Dude, it's been going good.
Yeah.
It's been a busy week, but
Yeah. I feel like we say that every week.
I
It's
know.
been a busy
And
week.
nothing slows down, seems like, but
Yeah,
you had a busier week than I did, man.
I did. I was traveling. I
flying
had the
all over the
opportunity to
place.
watch this. I just watched this on the plane. Basically, the second
Yeah.
time I just binged through it. We're going to be talking about Miss Marvel as a whole. It was created by Bisha K. Ali, starring Aman Vellani, Matt Lynn, Sonoba Shroff, Nimra Buka, and Rashad. Those were just I felt like some of the bigger ones. I feel like if you put all the stars, it would be a list of 15 people.
Oh, easily.
Released June 8th of 2022, which, side note, they actually, I can't remember, I want to say it was June 16th, some point in June, they actually released the entire series in theaters in Pakistan because they don't have Disney Plus there. And
That's crazy.
It's kind of a big deal for them.
So you just did just under 6 hours of
Not even.
No?
That's probably more like 4.5, really.
That's fair. Yeah. So that's a long movie to sit through, but
I mean, yeah, I'm sure it was split into parts, whatever. But yeah, so
that's awesome.
Yeah, released in a lot of places. Don't really have numbers for this one, but we can assume it was somewhere between 10 and 25 million per episode budget. So, some pocket change.
That's some money. Yeah. Well, it's Disney.
Just a little bit. Reception is very mixed. Rotten Tomatoes critic score is a 98%, and then the audience score is a 78%. IMDb has a 6.2. Letterboxd gave it a 3.4. Graham, what were your just overall thoughts on Miss Marvel?
I thought it was it was super fun. Honestly, visually appealing. It was really creative. Honestly, I liked it a lot. When you actually looking, I don't know. There were some things I wasn't the biggest fan on, the way it was especially kind of the way it ended. I don't know. Everything just felt really rushed in some areas, but also I don't know. I enjoyed it all the way through. Honestly, there wasn't an episode that I didn't like as much than another. They were all pretty average for me, but I say I'm kind of surprised about the Rotten Tomatoes score. That actually kind of shocked me reading that.
Which side, critic or
the
audience?
Critic? Because I know this was just isn't I enjoyed it a lot. I would give it a decent rating, honestly. But the audience, I a 78. I'm yeah, that's probably kind of where I sit. That's fair. But having 98, good for them. But I just kind of shocked me a little with it being that high.
I have some ideas that we'll get to in a minute, but I don't know. I really enjoyed it. We're talking about the whole series here, the series as a whole here, but if you want to hear our individual thoughts, go to our TikTok. We did instant reactions to each of the episodes, and I was extremely positive about all of them except for the finale.
That last episode was...
Which we'll talk about in our second segment. I don't know. I thoroughly enjoyed it, but one of the things I said, I think, in basically all of them is this is a really slow burn. This is not a week-by-week show. This should have been released all at once.
Yeah.
And binging it basically on planes and airports and stuff, it worked a lot better. There were things that I didn't pick up on, especially the mutant thing. That was spread out throughout the whole show.
Yeah.
Because in my head, while watching it, I thought the whole point from them changing her powers was because the bangle was where her powers were coming from. But then I realized, no, they say several times that it's inside her. It's not.
This just unlocked it or something. Yeah.
Which it makes me wonder, why do you have the bangle? Because I feel I don't know. This is, we're going to already derail. I feel this show had a really bad mix between what was initially wanting to happen, what the creators were wanting to do just with their show, and then what Feige needed them to do to set up the X-Men.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. From the beginning, I was very upset they changed her power set because I don't need another. I can shoot laser light things out of my hands. I've seen that a million times.
This cosmic plasma type. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm tired of all the cosmic stuff. I wanted to see, and she can just shape shift and and it's essentially the same thing, really.
Right.
It's not super different. So I thought that was dumb. But then I was like, oh, well, maybe because, the Bengal and its family, okay, I can kind of see that. But then now it's like the Bengal is, rewatching, I didn't understand the purpose of the Bengal other than to tie them into family. Like, I guess it can make her time travel.
I said, that's the only thing I got from it was from episode 5 when they tie it all back together and stuff. Otherwise, no, I mean, besides it, unlocking her powers, there's no... it was honestly kind of chance that she put it on. She literally found it in a box of old stuff and was like, "Yeah, this is sick." I just put it on. That I was a little thrown off by that too. But it definitely helped with the whole genetic thing where he brings it up because he mentions he's like your dad wanted me to look into him too, and all your genetic makeup is different. So it's definitely mutant hinted, but
yeah, I didn't really like that. But on
which I would say she's not a mutant in the shows or anything. She's just superpowered, right? Or
in the comics, she's an Inhuman.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. I don't know. I was gonna say it for later, but we can just get into it now.
I don't honestly personally don't know much about her. I watched the there's a cartoon on Disney.
Are you
Plus,
gonna name a little kid show that you still claim? Oh, I never watched this. I have
Well, I've seen it. Yes, I have I have young family, really little kids in the family. So yes, it's it'll be on the TV. And it's it's a Spider-Man and friends or whatever. So it's
okay,
Spider-Man and Gwen and Miles and the three of them. And then occasionally you'll see Miss Marvel pulls up, but she's just her stretchy, Linky self. That's it. And so I just was yeah, cool. And then I know when they changed her powers, I was yeah, okay, I see the two differences, but I didn't know what she was. Yeah, if she was considered mutant, considered Inhuman, and all that. But
yeah, so she's an Inhuman. Overall, I really liked the show. Despite its issues, I think this might be my top 3 shows. I think. Right off the bat, just the style choices in the show. I said in my instant reaction, this is the most stylistically ambitious project that
easily
Marvel has tried.
Yeah.
And I was here for it. I loved it. I know some people weren't quite on board in episode 1, but I feel like a lot of people... episode 2 kind of pushed them over the edge. We're this is...
Yeah. Cool. I didn't feel like anything was keeping me away from the show, after watching the first episode, but once you get into, episode 2 and 3, it really ties in. I would say, honestly, thinking back, episode 5 was I zoned out several times probably during that episode. That family one.
See, I think that's where we disagree, because I loved episode 5. Episode 5...
I liked the whole tie-in, but I just feel I just thought it was going to be maybe first 10 minutes, you get a little backstory, but it was... way more. It was just way more than I thought we were going to get of that. And it worked, but
I admit I'm in the minority on that. I know that most people didn't care for episode 5, and it I don't know. I wanted to keep this very positive because I did really like the show, but I think the biggest issue that this show had was there was just too much going on, and I feel individual episodes worked really, really well.
Yeah.
But when you put them all together, there's not a very great thread tying everything together.
Right.
I loved episode 5 just as its own little thing. I like history kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I liked that they were introducing the partition to a lot of people who, that's a really major aspect of history that a lot of people just ignore or don't know about. So I like that they were, they finally kind of put that in the spotlight. And I don't know, for me, I know in a previous episode I said I have never called an MCU thing beautiful, the cinematography.
Right.
But in that episode particularly, I think this show as a whole, but that one especially just some of the shots in that were just...
They were shots, definitely throughout the whole
so
show
beautiful.
That were so nuts.
And I think it's one of the ways that using, this Pakistani Muslim culture, really they use that to their benefit because they wear lots of colorful clothing and that allows you to do really cool things.
Yeah.
As opposed to America, it's black and black.
Pretty basic, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it's just, this is whatever. But like, I don't know. Episode 5 was just so beautiful. Like the cinematography was great. Had some cool action sequences, I guess. I really liked episode 5. You said you didn't have a like particular one that you liked above the others.
Honestly, I liked, and this is probably, I don't know, for some reason I was watching this and I was like, this just seems so dumb, but like I enjoyed the high school scene so much in episode 6, like in the last one.
Oh, yeah.
Where they were just like, a part of me kind of felt like it was almost like a,
it was
like
Home Alone.
Like no, that, but mixed with like Leia running from like the dudes in the woods, you know.
Sure,
Like I was like, if they really wanted to get them, like they probably could have, but also like I don't know, like I just liked the shots and it was just fun. It was like creative, but
or even like I really liked like the neon. Like this was such a bright show.
Yeah.
Not just like with the colors of clothes, but like anytime they showed like the circle Q was just
it all
it
bright,
always
lit
looked
up.
so cool.
Yeah. Later RIP. Was
I
not
mean,
expecting that, man.
Yeah. It's a RIP Circle Q.
Yeah. Which I didn't realize like so did I totally miss like Bruno's parents like aren't there?
No.
Is he just running that place like by himself? Or does he not run the place, he just lives above it?
It seemed like he like lives above it and
That's kind of what he
he's
like
also
works
got a
there,
job
but it's
there.
okay.
I mean, that'd be convenient. Like
Yeah. No. Yeah. I was like really wondering the tie-in and stuff because he's like, yeah, I lost my apartment because the whole place blew up. And then I was like, did you also lose your business? Like, is it, I mean, you're in high school. Like, I was really confused a little bit on that, but
yeah, I mean, he's just a side character.
yeah.
But yeah, I love just even like it's in the editing. Like this was very. A lot of people can compare it to John Hughes, which sure it is very. I feel like
I can see that.
I feel like that gets thrown out a lot. Like I think any good teen drama is automatically, oh, this is like John Hughes. Okay, I mean John Hughes is on another level. It's not quite.
Yeah.
This isn't quite the same thing. But I for me, I thought this was very Edgar Wright and like Scott Pilgrim, Baby Driver, even Last Night in Soho-ish. Like
For sure.
just the way, like, I don't know. I love Edgar Wright, and like this was this reminded me so much of him, especially those first 2 episodes, like going to high school and like the quick cuts and everything.
Yeah.
I think this is the best texting, like showing texting on screen that I've ever
everything
seen.
that was like, it interacted like so well with the world and just like through the windows and on the floor and as they're walking, I was like, whoa.
Right, which I don't know. It's a weird trend that I found with the MCU because I also loved in No Way Home how they did the FaceTime between
Peter and
MJ
MJ.
and Peter. Like I thought that was brilliant the way they did that.
So we've definitely been getting a lot more. It's weird to say like, I was gonna say like technology savvy, kind of like weird. Like we're just definitely getting more like phone use and like things because that is how everyone like that's how those teens would text. That's how they would react and talk. And so no, I really enjoyed the TikTok. Felt very overused in some areas of the show because it was
TikTok
mentioned a lot in like the
sponsored this show?
beginning few. I know that's how I felt. I was like, Disney has like no real correlation with TikTok. I don't think. I mean,
I don't know.
partner wise, I was like the first when they actually like mentioned like TikTok, not just like, oh, my social media page is like, no, like TikTok in the first episode. And I was like, wow. I was like, okay, so they just got that. And then episode 6 really just kind of hit that one hard. But
yeah, I don't know. And I think that's part of just one of the things that's so interesting about this show, and I think why it has such a mixed reaction is this is a very specific audience. A lot of like 40-year-old dads who go watch Marvel movies aren't gonna care about this too much. Like this isn't really for them.
yeah,
But I can see this. I think I said it in my episode 1 reaction. Like I think Miss Marvel is going to be a lot of this generation's Spider-Man because I love Tom Holland as Spider-Man. I love his movies. He's done great.
yeah,
But he's not really what makes Spider-Man great.
right.
You know, and he's not relatable at all. He's fighting purple aliens and saving the multiverse.
Right.
He's kind of moved past relatable into like this big superhero stage, which is fine.
Yeah.
Tom Holland still does great. I love those movies. But like this, Aman Vellani is just playing Miss Marvel and Kamala Khan perfectly.
She did incredible. Yeah.
As just a relatable person. Like I love, when we talk about it a lot, like I hate how the MCU just, like the multiverse is going to end or the world is going to be destroyed. Like, I like how, yes, we did have that aspect.
Yeah.
And it was kind of rushed and lazily written and just kind of quickly put to the side. But I feel like the core issue here was family and like dealing with your family problems in your past and all of that. Which I like. I like that it's personal and I care more about that.
Yeah. I feel like we haven't seen like a superhero worry about their secret identity in like a while, kind of a thing. Like between her keeping it secret between her friends and parents and things like that. And, well, no, exactly. Well, that's what I'm saying. So I just like, seeing her, like, it was just, totally different.
Yeah. That was one of the problems, like when Civil War came out, like comic version of Civil War, the whole premise was everyone had to register their identities with the government.
Right.
But in the MCU, everyone knows everybody's identity, so it didn't really matter. So I agree. I like that, like, we're seeing a more traditional superhero kind of route that we haven't seen in a long time, which is really cool. But speaking of Iman Vellani, talk about perfect casting.
Dude, yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah.
And not even just like her physical appearance just looks exactly like comic book Kamala Khan. But like, this is her first acting gig.
Yeah, and she was born for this 1,000%.
Right. There's a really great Reddit AMA on the Marvel Studios subreddit. I highly recommend everybody go check it out because it is so fun to just like vicariously live through Iman Vellani and like just the fact that she's just a super fan and is able to like live out every fan's dream of being in the MCU is like super cool.
Yeah, I feel like her getting the role and playing this character, I mean, is literally like her character fangirling over Carol Danvers and then becoming, I mean, it literally was, that's her. That's her. That is what it is. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. And I don't know. I feel like that's why she does do such a great job is because she's not really acting.
Right.
Like, sure, she has to say some specific words, but at the end of the day, like, she's kind of just portraying everything that she's actually, she's more than likely probably feeling.
Oh, definitely. That's like any like red carpet appearance or anything I see of her, like interview questions, like, what do you think? What do you feel? She's just like, literally nothing. She's like nothing. She's like, I'm just happy to be here. This is nuts. Like, this is nuts. She's like, do you know where we're at? And I'm like, that's literally like, that's how I would be. I would not be able to keep myself like cool or in check. Like, dude, she's literally just living a dream. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, I am only slightly jealous.
I'm very much.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like just everyone was casted in this perfectly.
Yeah. Dude, Bruno, he honestly, at first, like, the first few episodes, I was kind of annoyed by him because I just knew he was going to be like the geeky, like, techie friend kind of with it. Yeah, guy in the chair. But yeah, no, towards the end, I liked his character a lot. He was super fun.
I really like Bruno. I like Kamran. Even though I was a little,
I was kind of
confused.
both ways on it. Yeah. Never really was like too into his character. Same with like the girl best friend, Nakia. Yeah, kind of same thing. Like, she wasn't in it as much though. To be fair, she was maybe in like 3 out of the 6 episodes. So, it was a bit. Yeah, her family was awesome.
Yeah, I loved everyone in her family.
Yeah,
loved her brother. Her brother might be one of my favorites.
He was great, dude. He was funny.
Yeah, especially in the like finale. Like, how did you get here? He's like, it's like I went to school here. He's like, like, whatever.
He stood him down. He's like, hey, not cousin. Kamran. It's like, do you even like the British Bake Off?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, everyone was just casted brilliantly, and I feel like that was the strength of this show. Was like, yes, it's a superhero show, but like the action sequences are minimal, and when we do have them, they're pretty subpar.
Yeah.
But like, just the one thing they got just absolutely right was character. Like, character throughout was just, I cared about everybody.
Yeah.
Like, I felt conflict. Like, like Kamran, like, what's he gonna do? Is he gonna be evil? Is he gonna be good? We'll talk about that later. But there's just lots of. It felt very personal. And I felt stressed out, and I felt anxious, and like I wanted to know more. Yeah. Because of the characters, not because. The world may or may not blow up.
Right, exactly. I was definitely way more attached to the actual characters themselves than anything else going on. Like, truth be told. Because, like, even most of the part where I'm like, I kind of forgot until the last episode when, I can't remember. I don't even know who was talking to the guy. I think it was, like, Kamala to Bruno. And they're talking, and she's like, his mom wanted to, like, mix the... Like, she didn't make it because she was trying to like mix the worlds between the Jinn and I was like, dude, I forgot that was like the whole point of the Jinn race. Like, that was all they were trying to do. I completely forgot about that. And I was like, oh yeah. It's like, I mean, it didn't happen. So like, oh darn. But I was just like, yeah.
Yeah. It just, I don't know. It was weird. I feel like there was a lot of the problems. We went to the strengths. Now here are like the weaknesses of this show. Where like they were trying too hard to go away from the formula, but I have a feeling that they were kind of being forced into the formula. And in some ways it worked. In a lot of ways it didn't. Yeah. But I think that does say like a lot about the fact that I still like this show, despite structurally it's just horrendous. It's a massive mess. Like, yeah, it's still super entertaining to watch, and I care about a lot of people.
Like we all know my hatred, not hatred, that's a strong word, my dislike for Captain Marvel, and like especially Captain Marvel movie.
Hatred, I think, is an appropriate
That's probably a
word.
fair word, actually, yeah.
It's a strong word, and
I'm very excited for the Marvels. Like, I'm extremely excited just to see Kamala come back as just her character. Still don't give an F about Carol Danvers, truly, but
yeah.
Like, yeah, no, like I'm excited for that whole mix to happen and for like that movie.
Yeah, I can't wait to see more of Kamala, and we'll see, Monica Rambeau.
Yeah.
We'll see Photon in action, which will be...
Dude, that'll be...
We'll see her actually do something useful instead of saving a bunch of kids who would have taken care of the situation better than her, but that's... That's, again, stay tuned for segment 2. We're gonna dive into all of that. I'm excited for the Marvels. That post-credit scene was like... I think that might be my favorite post-credit scene in a long time, because it actually... I know it's actually going to happen, as opposed to
them just setting something up that we might never see.
I mean, I keep going back to it, but Doctor Strange and Mordo is like, I'm going to kill everybody, and then we just kind of never went back to that. Or I mean, the Thor post-credit scene, you haven't seen it, I won't spoil it, but like that may or may not happen. I'm leaning towards probably not going to see where that goes. But maybe I hope so. But this one, like, I don't know. I liked it because I know it's going to happen. It's straight up said they'll be back in the Marvels.
Right.
And it was like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
Like, it's actually, I'm curious.
Right.
It was weird.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine, I don't know obviously you don't know the context, but imagine just like showing up in a room in your face
over dude. When she even like looked around, it was just like wall, poster, book in her hand, and I was like, yeah, it's everywhere. It was, yeah. But I would. The only thing that like threw me off is for some reason, like I don't know if it was like the editing or what, but when she like disappears, like transform, like they switch pretty much, like that whole little like blip switch thing. That seemed way more like high quality than like anything else we saw on the show so far. I don't know why. A part of me was just fair. Oh yeah, I feel like that literally came out of one of the movies, like
that's fair.
5 year ago movie, not like anything we've seen recently, but like it was that whole part. I was just like whoa, and then I was like, then she showed up, and I was like, well, yeah, it's
I mean, CG in all of these shows really have been extremely subpar.
I've seen a ton of stuff recently, just being like, just everyone like we're just voting like. They prefer like quality over quantity at this point for Marvel. And I'm just like, honestly, like we could, don't get me wrong, I enjoy all the content, but we could take a break or two.
Yes.
Give you guys like an extra year to just do whatever you can do. And then,
I think COVID was extremely beneficial to
so many,
not just to them being able to take a little more time to make things, but just like for the fans to just to have Endgame, take a break to let all of that kind of like stew.
But I mean, even then, it's kind of like we were talking, like the old timelines used to be what, like 3 movies a year, 4 movies a year. And so that's why I'm like, even with the COVID break of 2 years, almost, like
if we're talking old timelines, up until midway through phase 3, it was 2 movies a year.
Right. And so that's what I'm like saying. We were waiting like solid amounts of time, and now it's like, oh man, we gotta wait 3.5 weeks. Shoot.
Yeah, and there was genuine hype. Like I was not excited for Thor.
We had trailers that could kind of get us stretched across a couple months. Not like Thor. We got the trailer like 4 or 5 weeks before the movie came out. It was yeah. I don't know. I could honestly, if they slowed things down, I wouldn't. I don't think they would hear a lot of like complaining with that. They wouldn't get a lot of backlash.
But with where Marvel's going, we talked on a little at the beginning. We we've been asking, how are we going to introduce the mutants? Yeah, we now have our answer,
which I kind of like. I'm not against it.
You liked this?
I thought it was definitely weird. Like when he brings it up, and then it's just like the music and the pause, and then she's like, it's another label. Like she didn't care. No, like I feel like
because mutants don't exist yet.
Right.
So
right. She
doesn't really know.
Mutants there's no mutant. It's not a thing. It's just a mutation. Right. Like it's.
I'm a little mixed on the reveal.
For the
of her being a mutant.
Yeah.
Because on the one side, like when the character Miss Marvel was first created, she was initially intended to be a mutant, but then the higher up said, well, she's going to be a massive character.
Yeah.
We can see that. So we're going to make her an Inhuman instead, which are basically just like the lame X-Men from space, because the Inhumans are lame X-Men from space and no one cared about them. So we're going to make her an Inhuman, sell those books a little more because X-Men don't need any help.
Yeah.
And so she was initially intended to be an X-Men. So like, I like that regard as like they're kind of fixing the narrative in a way. And
that's what I'm saying. Like I don't mind it. Like I think it'll work. It'll work just fine. It's like I said, if anything, it's just one of the better introductions I think we could have gotten for mutants.
Well, and that's the thing is I feel like you have the X-Men, right? Like we could have. There's a lot of ways we could have introduced mutants to the world,
right.
And quite frankly, I'm really curious as to how they're going to pull it off because a lot of the mutant stories and everything are surrounded around like mutants versus no mutants. Like it's a lot of like race and discrimination type stuff. Like that's all just an allegory of American racial issues. So I'm just curious how they're going to naturally introduce a totally new thing into this world where superheroes already exist and they're kind of okay with them. The other thing that I just really irked me about it, and this is something that probably didn't bother most people, but for the majority of you that don't know, I almost like went into film music as a career. I love that. I love listening to scores and things. I love studying motifs and what they mean. When they played the 90s X-Men tune, I was livid.
When did they do that? Was that the last episode?
Yeah, he goes, it's a mutation, and he goes, da-ga-da-ga-da-da-da.
Okay, that music? Okay, I didn't know.
And I was like, okay, look, I understand when Professor X shows up in Doctor Strange and he looks like he does in the 90s and you play that little thing. That's fine. It's in a multiverse. Yeah. It's a cool little thing. And I understand that you're trying to really drive home the point that like this is the X-Men and that's what they're doing. It's not how you establish a theme. It's already been that's already a theme song. That's lazy, A. B, the people who are going to get it are, again, the 40-year-old dads who watch the 90s X-Men show.
True.
But guess what? They probably aren't even going to make it through the finale of this show because they don't care about Miss Marvel. So they're going to miss it. And then the little kids who are watching Miss Marvel, because that's who you're targeting, are not even going to notice it. And it's not going to matter. But you've established this theme as the mutant theme. So now whoever does write X-Men has to somehow use this or just ignore all the other things you've already established in this universe and make a new motif. And that's going to be confusing. That's my rant. The MCU started off terribly. Like when you look at like theme songs.
Yeah.
If I said like sing something from Star Wars, you could sing the main theme, the Force theme. You could sing Mando's theme. You could sing Duel of the Fates, Battle of the Heroes, Rey's theme. There's like a bajillion themes that anyone can just instantly start going on. Or even like DC, like Batman. There's lots of Batman themes. There's Superman. Someone can sing Superman. Yeah. If I said sing Iron Man's theme, what are you going to do? He has 3 of them. Yeah. And all 3 of them are like no one actually knows them. Like Captain America kind of had, like Alan Silvestri kind of has a Captain America theme, but it's super inconsistent. And it's only in the first Avenger and Endgame. Yeah. So take that as you will. I mean, you have the Avengers theme. That's the one thing that's like
a set theme
stayed throughout.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, starting with like phase 3, really, like they've started to reuse motifs. And so now you have Ant-Man's theme and you have Captain Marvel's theme.
Doctor Strange's theme.
Doctor Strange's theme. But even then, like Danny Elfman just kind of ignored it for most of Multiverse of Madness. Like, music is a massive part of making movies. They're amazing storytelling tools, and I am tired of the MCU treating it like it's just some other thing that doesn't matter. One of the few Oscars it's won was for best score in Black Panther. So,
Yeah, they did Black Panther right.
Give the music in these movies and shows the respect that they deserve, or I will riot.
I thought the music in Miss Marvel was pretty dope too.
It was really
choices
good. I really liked Kamala's theme. It was a lot of fun. Last question in this segment.
Okay.
Is this one of the best origin stories we've ever gotten, like, period? Because I think this was a phenomenal way to, like, this felt like a comic book origin story. And in general, stylistically, this felt like a comic book to me.
Yeah, I agree with that. I liked it a lot. I say I can't really think of anything else that would really top this. Because like I said, this was just fun. Like, this felt like, I honestly feel like I would just be like reading this out of a comic, like, straight up. And the way it went back and forth between like her little animated sketches and things like that, it just, this is definitely probably one of the best. And I think I agree. This is definitely one of my top 3 shows for the Disney Plus Marvel content so far for the MCU.
What are your top 3 shows?
I personally still liked WandaVision a lot and Loki. Those are like my top 2. I don't know which one I would set. I think right now I still liked WandaVision the most. Honestly, just because I still want to see where White Vision is. I'm really still actually like caught up on that. Like, truly, I think about that all the time, like the ship thesis and all that. But it's fine. But then Loki, everyone liked Loki. I honestly don't think I've talked to anyone that didn't like Loki. And I think depending on how season 2 goes or what they introduce with Kang and how that all goes, like, I think that will probably get pushed to my number 1 once we get season 2.
Advantage with the season 2.
I was gonna say it's one of the only. It's not a like series. It's a season. Yeah, it's gonna have its season. So no, I'm excited for Loki. But I would say probably like WandaVision, Loki, and then this here, Captain America, Winter Soldier, or Falcon and Winter Soldier was definitely probably my 4th. Then going through the list, but I'd say like What If. I liked it.
What If doesn't really
count. That one I wouldn't count too much.
Hawkeye
was fun, but that's not going to fall in my top few.
Hawkeye is my number 1. I love Hawkeye so much.
Honestly, if they would have, I'm glad they didn't. A part of me is honestly, but like if they would have like tied Daredevil in there somehow, if they would have just given us Matt, like that probably would have gone to my number 1. Like, I know they gave us Kingpin and like all that tied in, and we're going to get the Echo show and all that. I know, I'm very excited for that.
Yeah, but I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. Now that I'm like thinking on it a little more, like Hawkeye, Moon Knight number 2. And then,
bro, honestly, I don't know how I forgot about Moon Knight. What the heck?
I was wondering where it was going to show up, but yeah, Moon Knight's my number 2, and then my number 3 is a toss up between Miss Marvel and WandaVision, and the reason it's a toss up is what we are going to talk about in our next segment, because
the cliffhanger.
Because look, these shows are great. They're high production, lots of great storytelling, lots of great characters. But the one consistency between all of them is that the finales just suck.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what happened to Miss Marvel, but they it was going great and then just fell off a cliff.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I didn't like it. You didn't seem to like it. So we're going to talk about that and why Disney just can't get a Marvel show finale right. So we'll be back.
Yep. Dude, I'm so glad we're doing this.
Yeah, for sure. It's been a lot of fun, and it's not as difficult as I thought it would be.
No, not at all. Like, Anchor has made it especially easy when it comes to like actually getting our podcast out on the air. Because when hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on all the listening platforms. So easy getting it over to Spotify, getting it to Apple, wherever you're trying to get your podcast to.
Yeah, I think we're on like 7 platforms just through Anchor, and not even just the distribution, but even just creating the podcast. Like, there's so many recording and editing tools within it, so you can record, edit, add music in, sound effects, all sorts of things directly through Anchor, and it is free.
Dude, that's amazing.
It's incredible. So if you would like to start your own podcast, just like ours, go to anchor.fm on your desktop device, or you can go on to your mobile app store and download the Anchor app. We are back.
We're back.
We're discussing Miss Marvel and Disney's inability to just like
End the show correctly.
End the show in a satisfying way.
Yeah.
Graham, what are like some of like the best and the worst finales from these shows? Are there any like good ones in your opinion?
No. I was gonna say, shoot, I'm honestly trying to think of them.
The one that I think was like perfect was Hawkeye.
Okay, but yeah,
I think Hawkeye ended really
that.
great. What if we're gonna count it was?
I don't want to count that.
Was a good ending.
Yeah.
Moon Knight is. Moon Knight
It's
wasn't
up
quite
there.
satisfying for me.
I thought it was fine,
was
especially the way it like left the hang on. I was honestly gonna say that's probably one of. I mean, that and Hawkeye. I'll count Hawkeye. Yeah, those two would probably be the only ones I could.
Yeah, but I mean, Loki, you have like this crazy like time travel adventure, and then the last episode is just
Like it all resets.
here's an hour of exposition from a villain that is probably going to be a big deal in the future,
Yeah.
but he's not anymore. But this is the first time we're meeting him.
right.
It's very timey-wimey.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I thought the Loki finale was fine. I think I liked it more than others, but like
I think I liked it that it kind of like in this where it set something up and like we know we're gonna get it in Ant-Man. We know we're gonna get it in Loki season 2. Like
Right.
it kind of started that. Same thing with Miss Marvel, how it ended. Like I was not the biggest fan of this ending. Like I said, I kind of liked the high school little fight action scene that we got like at the end there. And then the way it ended, actually giving us the tie-in for the Marvels, like that I liked a lot. But yeah, I mean, honestly, no, there's very few shows that have actually.
I mean,
I don't
if you've
think really
listened
any at
to
all, like-
basically any episode of this show, you know that I hate the WandaVision finale. That was
Yeah.
the stupidest thing I've ever seen.
because we are
We have all
a
this
year and a half
amazing,
out, and we still don't know where White Vision is after this show.
and you're literally the
Probably
only
never
person
gonna
that
know.
cares.
I know I am, and I don't know why I care so much, but dude, I care way too much. I honestly just, I don't know. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
White Vision is just living life. He's learning what it's like to
But
be.
how? Where?
Why does it matter? I mean,
Just a little bit.
maybe he's just like on the beach somewhere, like just
Trying to get
having-
tan.
having a good old
Pale.
time. I mean, he is really pale.
I guess.
He's
Yeah.
like- I mean, yeah, you know. Yeah, everyone knows I hate the WandaVision finale. You have all these like great sitcoms, and then you're just
Yeah.
like, okay, cool. That was
put it all
that
in
was
real
cool.
speed.
We're just
Yeah.
going to ignore that happened, and we're going to go do this other thing
Yeah.
that's not related to anything we've done at all, and everything's going to be pointless. And
Mm-hmm.
oh, look, she's a Scarlet Witch now, which I guess that was kind of cool.
I said that
They
was
were like.
they were like the little moments.
They were cool
that
moments,
yeah.
yes.
That's kind of like I would say the same thing for like Miss Marvel. Like it wasn't like one of the greatest finales we've gotten, but honestly, like I really liked when she like stepped up after that sound blast and she kind of got that like you could tell she was like stretchy, like her kind of more like a comic accurate like style, but she was still in the whole cosmic like suit version of it. But I really liked that when she stood up and I was like, oh shoot, she's tall, like and then she like stretches and punches, like all that. Like that was a fun little key thing. But other than that,
Falcon and the Winter
like,
Soldier, I will say, that had a satisfying conclusion, but the rest of it was not. So I don't know if that was kind of a reverse.
That's that's fair.
But yeah, I don't know. I think for WandaVision and Miss Marvel, I feel like the finales are great one-off episodes,
Yeah.
but it's a finale, so you should be concluding everything that all the other episodes that like had set up and we're putting
Because
together.
a lot of these shows have several loose ends, just like that are just still out there.
And to an extent, like with the MCU, that's fine for some things.
Yeah.
You know, calling Kamala mutant or
Right.
White Vision going off. Those are loose ends that are fine because
Well, most likely
we're
that's
going
gonna get caught up.
Yeah, those are going to get picked up later. But for some things, like if you're going to tell a coherent story, you need
Right.
you need something to like just wrap it all up, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Miss Marvel in general is something I didn't say earlier. Like, I feel like every episode as its own individual piece of content was fantastic.
Yeah.
But when you put it all together, like, I mean, I'm not surprised the finale was pretty awful because there wasn't a lot of like threads to tie together.
Right.
It almost seemed like episode 5 should have been the finale.
Well, I was gonna say, I even like looking at the finale of episode 6, like I don't know what ties were brought together. Like honestly, like
So because I didn't realize that at first. If you watch my instant reaction for that episode, it was basic. It was the longest
Kind of
rant
tore it apart.
I've ever gone on, because I was just like,
You utilized all 3 minutes TikTok gave you.
I think it was like 4 actually.
Shoot.
It was yeah. I used every second TikTok gives me, but it's I didn't find any. I didn't know what was why. I didn't know what was going on in their heads. But when I did rewatch it all, the thread there is family and like using your power in the way that you want to use it. Like there's that last little thing where she has with Kamran, where like in her bubble, and that was the theme of the show. But it was extremely. It just wasn't given enough time because they spent so much time on all these other things, which we can just get into it. Like the problem with Miss Marvel and the finale, ultimately stems from the rest of the show, right? Like you got the clandestines, which for starters, clandestine in the comics is like a superhero team. They're not villains.
Right.
So that was a weird decision.
Yeah.
Calling them, I think it's just because in the comics 2 of them are Jinn, and they're like, it's
put it all together,
Pakistani, and we're doing that for the show, so let's I don't know.
I mean, it kind of
whatever.
Worked, honestly, it fit the way that they did it with the 4 or 5 of them, and
it fit. But also, I don't even know. I don't know any of their names.
Yeah, no,
I don't know. And even just the logic and all of it was so ridiculous. They straight up told her, yeah, we were exiled from our world. And she's like, oh, I'm going to help you get back. And it's like, wait, hold on.
Yeah.
They were exiled. There was a reason for that. Clearly, with how brutal and morally gray they are, I have some ideas as to why they were exiled.
Yeah.
And they probably shouldn't be sent back. But whatever. It was just, I didn't care about any of it, and we spent so much time on that as opposed to, again, the thing that we did like with all the family aspects that didn't have enough time, and have more time to grow and develop.
Right.
The other thing was damage control was
aggressive.
There.
I honestly, since Spider-Man, I don't understand this, kind of, I don't know, I want to say new damage control-ish, because really damage control is just there to pick up the mess after the superheroes were done, right?
Yeah.
In a sense, it's kind of what their job is, but now it's he's got powers, let's hunt him down and figure out what they're doing. They're trying to stop the mess before it happens, which I can kind of get, but
right.
I feel like that's not really their job. That's never been their job.
Well, the problem is that S.H.I.E.L.D. doesn't exist anymore in this universe, so
which is
someone
fair.
had to pick up the slack. I don't know. I'm okay with them being
whose
like that.
orders? I don't know if they just did they just
I mean, it's always been a government thing.
Yeah, government funded, yeah.
So, I don't know. I don't have a problem with damage control in that sense. I actually really I don't remember his name, but I like the main damage control guy.
Yeah, I like him a lot too.
Him.
Especially towards the end, he kind of pulled through and was like...
I really, really, really want a damage control show, in the style of... I want to say The Office, but I think a better comparison to be Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which I don't like that show too much, but
What? Wait, what? Really?
I don't. It's not.
Dude, I love Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
It's not for me. It's whatever.
Oh, that's whack.
That's, yeah.
Show is so good. But dude,
I understand the appeal, but I would love a show like that where it's just we're in the office. Oh, look, we got to go clean up this mess. I don't know. I would just love a straight sitcom where
that would be dope.
It's just damage control.
I feel like that would do good.
Yeah, you can just have some D-list villains who are just running around that are just ridiculous.
Yeah, let people know there's still little crimes happening on the Earth. Even if it was not the multiverse. It's just we're still on Earth here. Even
if it was just an animated show too, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah,
I don't know. I would love a damage control show.
That would be cool.
That's neither here nor there.
No. Yeah.
Again, back to logic. I don't understand damage control's logic here. Or honestly, I take it back. I understand damage control's logic. I don't understand everybody else's logic, because from the perspective of damage control, you have this superpowered girl who went to AvengerCon and destroyed a bunch of stuff. and no one was hurt, luckily, but they almost were. And then she goes to a mosque, and she almost drops a kid and to his death.
She did drop him, but
luckily all he had was a broken leg. So like that worked out, but things almost bad happened. So they were like, hey, we've got to stop this girl because she's obviously going to cause some problems.
Right.
She is causing some problems. So they're hunting her, which makes sense. And then they're like, oh, hey, there's another one. He destroyed a subway. He broke out of damage control. He's causing all sorts of damage and problems. So obviously, as damage control, we need to go stop him. Oh, look, they're together. That's convenient. So they're hunting him. Damage control is in the right here. They're just doing their job.
But the way they did things I feel like was aggressive because here's the thing. Like they could have done things like a Nick Fury style where Nick Fury walks up and he's like, hey, bro. It's like, you got powers. It's like, let's talk. Like that was how like Avengers Initiative, all that was. Like they watched them and kind of got details on him. Now it's just like, we're going to send out drones and shoot you. Like they were straight like trying to be lethal like right off the bat.
Here's the thing though, if you had like a terrorist with a bomb and they walked into a school, no one's going to be like, oh, well, if they're in front of a school, I guess we better leave.
No, yeah, they're going to, yeah, no,
like,
I would shoot them too. But
they're literally causing like, they're endangering people's lives. So obviously they would go to attack. And so then a bunch of these kids then somehow manage to, again, like a Leia situation, like they just pull a Home Alone in the school.
I'm so glad the softball thing didn't work. When they were like shooting, they're like, this is working. And I was like, how? How? They are geared to F up. Yeah. And also they could have shot one thing and you guys would have gone flying with those machines. I don't know why they didn't.
Yeah.
That whole little part, I was just like, why?
But then like they go on TikTok and she's like, hey, they're trying to kill us kids in front of the school.
Trying to see how many simps she got coming out. Like,
because, they're doing their jobs.
Yeah.
And then all these people come out. And then Kamran almost kills them. Yeah. And then Kamala barely saves them. And they're like, they're both heroes. That was another thing too.
Why were they just standing there? All the civilians outside behind those barriers, they would all just like crouch down together. Literally run.
They were protesting that the damage control was doing their jobs because the enemies were children, I guess.
I guess.
I guess. Because plot.
I guess because plot.
They had plot armor. They knew they were fine because they had to be there to crowd around Kamala really quick because that was gonna save her. And then she also continuity error. She starts running off away from the school, and then in the next shot she's running in the opposite direction of the school. Yeah. And I was like, wait, hold on.
They timed that. They put.
I understand the shots looked cool, but that's not how that works.
Not at all.
Yeah, I don't know. There was just like a lot of just illogical things were going on because, oh, wait, we need a big action sequence here at the end, but we kind of threw that away in the last episode by not really having a big final action sequence between Kamal and the clandestines. And so we're like, okay, we're going to have like this evil damage control lady for some reason. Because like someone needs to have problems. And I feel like some of it too was just, I feel like damage control was there just like, oh, we don't know how to go about this, so we're just gonna make a damage control. Like, how do we show that like mosques are targeted and it's discriminatory? Like, oh, like show us your IDs. Oh, you already have them out. Like, okay,
they're used to that.
I see what you're doing.
Yeah,
this is just like, I don't know. I do think it was handled better than a lot of other times that
they try to
big studios try to do cultural things, but I just feel like damage control was there as a plot device just to move, just to do random things that didn't actually matter to the story at all.
Yeah.
Some regards it worked, and others, like the finale, it just
didn't.
It did not. Not even.
Yeah.
Not even a little bit.
And that's a part of, like, I was thinking, like, I don't understand how we could go, 6 shows in roughly now, how they can do that same 4 episode, like, build up and then just let it drop off in 5 and 6. Like, I know this one kind of carried through 5 for a lot of people, but, like, I guess maybe having, like, 2 of the shows do that where, like, they might not have been written well for the ending, but, like, dude, it's been 6 shows.
I think Moon Knight was good all the way through. And I think
That's
Moon
fair.
Knight and Hawkeye, I think are
the two exceptions.
I
of
think
that.
that's why they are my top two, is because they were
able to pan through the whole.
they're just consistent,
Right.
Like they weren't trying to be a Marvel movie. They were just
Well, that's the thing. I'm not saying the others aren't consistent. I'm saying they're consistent in a bad way. Like,
well, yeah, they're.
like how do they?
I'm saying the shows as individually, Hawkeye, all 6 episodes are consistently good, and they are telling the same story.
Right.
It's the same thread all the way through.
Yeah.
It's consistent. Whereas you're saying that, yeah, like all of these shows, WandaVision, Miss Marvel, Loki, are consistently just like they are good for the first 4, and then after that they just
Just
wait,
hit this drop off.
we have to end
Yeah.
this thing. How are we going to do that? Do you think that's like do you
that's-
think it would help if there were more episodes? I mean, because in the case of WandaVision, we have 9 episodes, but
Right.
they're mostly half an hour, so it's and runtime it's a little longer than the others, but like
Not by much.
I mean, the first 2
Yeah.
episodes are kind of throwaways, really. So like that had 9 episodes. Everything else has 6. Do you think more episodes would help it?
No, I don't think like that's the thing. I don't think anything would help it because I feel like they're not, like. I don't know. Part of me would say like I feel like they're doing that like kind of like on purpose. If anything, 'cause maybe I mean it's definitely different than like I don't know. It feels
Do
like
you think
it's
they're purposely making it bad?
well, I just don't think they expected it to be taken as bad. But yeah, like a part of me is like because that's the thing. It's like that's what I'm saying. Like if one or two of the shows out of the 6, like yeah, if they were like tough, sometimes it happens. But like for it happening that much, like what like because here's the thing. When it comes to Phase 4. A part of me doesn't even know what the F is going on, bro. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I'm like, honestly, like, maybe
Because
with
it's not
the whole,
a TV show. Just take everything for what it is.
No, and I know.
It doesn't need. Not everything needs to be Thanos. It's fine.
No, and I'm glad it's not part of it. But that's what I'm just saying is like I just like, what if this is just like, this is the formula they kind of like made for TV, thinking it would do one thing and that's not going to do another. But like, why have they tried to fix it?
Right. Well,
You know?
and that's the thing though too is like with production you can't always fix things.
Which yeah,
Like
that's fair, especially after you've gone so far.
I mean, you're making all this all at once,
Right.
essentially. Like it's harder to.
You're not going week by week. It's
When it comes to like pre-production or writing your scripts, like unless you stop everything, you can't start from scratch. Like I think a lot of this they just kind of have to push through, and maybe things will change. And one of the reasons I asked, like does more episodes help? She-Hulk is going to have 9 episodes as well. So I'm curious if maybe
I think that'll be one of those.
if maybe She-Hulk does succeed, maybe it's just the 6 episode
Arc just doesn't
format is
work.
not working. And also like they're just trying to do a lot. I mean, because in Miss Marvel you've got the stuff going on in her family,
much.
you've got the clandestines, and you got I almost said Doom. You almost have damage control. So that's like 3 things that are going on.
Yeah.
And I think I've talked about it before, but like Breaking Bad is objectively one of the best shows of all time. And in Breaking Bad, they do a brilliant job at like the first 3 episodes are one arc, and then the middle 3 are I don't know. Really, it's like it's mostly the first 4 are one arc, and you have like middle 4 are kind of. But they're building up to the last 4, which is an incredible finale. Like they're all just like individual. Like everything is segmented into 4 episodes. Or if you look at like Star Wars: The Clone Wars, like those are built into arcs of 3 or 4 episodes, so they can just tell individual stories, and you can have some sort of a thread in between the whole season. Clone Wars is the best example of that. But like you have stuff that's kind of all tying it together, but you have individual arcs. So you can tell all of these different versions of this story. You can have these different villains and things, but it's all in service of one greater story, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Let me tell it this way, because this is a comic book show.
Okay.
And comic books do it like this too. If you read Dan Slott's Spider-Man, for example, like Dan Slott wrote Spider-Man for like a couple hundred issues. And within that, you have all sorts of arcs. And so you have like, I don't know, like there's a great one called End of the Earth and that's kind of like a finale where essentially Doc Ock was going to die. And so he wanted everyone to remember him. So he was going to like make the sun expand and burn the earth to a crisp, whatever. It was a crazy thing. But then when you go building up to that, like you have all these other things going on. Spider-Man's fighting different villains, different stories are happening, but throughout it, like Doc Ock will show up, and then you can see, oh, he has these like Octobots, and they're attached to Peter's head, and so Peter pulls it off, and then we have this story, and then so all that stuff happens, and he's able to do it because of stuff he did in this other one, and then he gets Superior Spider-Man because this Octobot, like there's all these different stories that are completely self-contained and are on their own, but it's all a part of a grand narrative that you don't see until the finale. And I wonder if a show like this would work better like the comic books that they're based off of. If instead of just trying to throw everything in together all at once, like what if we started with Damage Control being like, hey, you don't know how to use your powers. We're going to try to stop you. And then like the next 3 or 4 episodes are the clandestine or like family stuff.
Yeah.
And then she figures that out. And then, oh, hey, it's the clandestines. Like I got to use the stuff I learned with my family to like help this family. Like there could have been a
better shaping
if there potentially if there were more episodes.
Yeah.
Or
see, the only thing that worries me if there were more episodes is anytime I think of like, especially when it comes to like these superhero shows, like I always just immediately jump back to like the Flash and Arrow, how you had those like each self-contained
that's like
week-to-week
25 episodes.
Right. Well, that's exact. That was way too many for like something like this for sure. But that's what I'm thinking. It's like, yeah, like I totally understand where it could be, several individual episodes, and then they'll have that massive fight or the team up collab episode or something between the two shows. And so yeah, no, I definitely could see the 9-episode thing honestly working maybe. Because like I said, I really enjoyed WandaVision, and I think it was just the whole thing of getting through all the sitcoms. And yeah, the finale was not like the greatest, but I don't know. I hope She-Hulk, if She-Hulk does really well and it is spread out really well, I hope they would start doing 9 episodes, because that's also just more content for us.
Yeah. And then, I mean, as far as we know, like Secret Invasion, Ironheart, the other shows coming up would only be 6.
Bro, I forgot about Ironheart too. Yeah.
So, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
I'll have a lot of hope for the future of these shows. I mean, none of them are bad.
No,
really.
Right.
I mean, Captain America and the Winter Soldier is not
Falcon and
great,
Winter Soldier or whatever, yeah.
but it's not bad.
No, and for that being the 1 out of 6 now is it's not a bad.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. It just kind of I don't know. Again, I feel like we're always really negative about things just because like
Here's the thing,
pointing out the problems is really
we're not negative
easy.
about a lot of things. I think we get like pretty negative. We go like pretty hard on like the few little things.
Yes.
So it's not, because like I said, let's go listen to the first segment. Obviously you already have. We love the show.
Yeah.
We love these shows.
I really like this show.
We love the MCU. What we've gotten over.
I don't know if I like it more than WandaVision, because I did really like WandaVision. So if it's not my top 3, it's at least my top 4. You know?
Yeah.
I feel like Miss Marvel and WandaVision are kind of like at a tie for me.
Yeah.
Graham, any final thoughts on Miss Marvel finales, Disney Plus shows?
I'm sad it ended, dude.
Likes?
This was one of the fun shows we've gotten in a while.
This is one of the most fun things I think we've gotten.
Oh, easily.
From the MCU in a while.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I really liked it. This was, I was anticipating every week when I could watch the next episode of Miss Marvel. Even though it was a bit of a slow burn, it has its issues. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I really hope that they keep this kind of Scott Pilgrim comic booky style.
So my favorite thing probably for the show I'm gonna throw out was definitely like the intro and like ending like title cards, or just the name and just every little font, and that was just so dope. And like every language is someone and everything. It was like, yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah,
that was super fun.
Yeah, the show. Yeah, in general, the show's just fun.
Yeah,
that's how we'll wrap it up. You've been listening to the Popcorn Hangover. My name is Alex. That is Graham.
Yes.
Follow us on social media: Instagram, TikTok, Patreon.com/Popcorn Hangover. Let us know what your thoughts were on Miss Marvel, and if you agree about our thoughts on Disney Plus finales being terrible. Let us know on all of those platforms, and we will see you next time.
Peace.